Hello, my name is Bekopin and you are watching Rappler. In this edition of Rappler Talk, we will be walking through the Philippines' rich maritime history, but also we will be looking forward. It's a timely discussion given issues in the West Philippine Sea as the Philippines tries to make sense of and deal with an ever-expansionist China. Hopefully, you learn a thing or two about our past, but also about how we are to face the issues that we are facing nowadays. I am joined by Mel Velarde. He is a businessman, the chairperson of Now Corporation and Now Telecom. He also chairs the board of the Asia Institute of Journalism and Communications. But today, we will be focusing on an advocacy that he has poured a lot of time, resources, and I'm guessing love into as well. Of course, we're talking about the Murillo-Velarde map. Sir, thank you for joining us. Thank you for making time for this.
My pleasure.
Okay, let's walk through the basics, I guess.
Yes.
How did you hear about the map in the first place? Also, let's clarify first. You're a Velarde. The map is called the Murillo-Velarde map. It is a coincidence.
What a strange coincidence, but a very positive coincidence.
What sparked your interest in the map in the first place?
When we had a crisis in 2012 and our big neighbor took or occupied our islands and rocks, especially even the low tide rocks that we have that only appear during low tide. Specifically Bajo de Masinloc, Panakot, which we call then 300 years ago, 1734. All of us were in a mode of darkness. We were questioning ourselves, in fact. Do we really own what we claim to be ours? Why do we say that? What is our proof? A bigger nation, superpower, has claimed it.
And it's very aggressive in doing so.
Aggressive in doing so. And then I learned that the Aquino government was preparing a lawsuit. And through my friend, Senior Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, Antonio Tirol Carpio, he talked to many businessmen and private and public museum owners. And I was one of those whom he approached. In fact, he joked that you're a Velarde, you might as well get that map for the Philippines. It's only up to 2 million pesos maybe, and then we need it now because there will be a bidding on July 4, 2014. But once you win it, the government will ask the government to pay it at cost. But you have done your patriotic act of buying it, bringing it, and getting paid naman. But the bidding went quite ferocious, and it reached 12 to 13 million pesos just to win. But I couldn't get it out of London because we needed to convince the British government that it is not part of the British patrimony. Because if it is, I could win it, but not take it out.
It has to stay.
It has to stay where it is. Okay, but luckily, we were able to bring it out with the Office of the Solicitor General, represented by now Justice Henry Angeles, and we brought it to the Philippines.
So, sir, the original estimate was 2 million?
Yeah, in fact, the base price was 1 million pesos.
Ended up being
12.
Over 12.
But 2 years there with insurance and the rest, and also all the legal fees. Medyo, we try not to remember the exact figure because at that time, there was a price. But now it's priceless.
No, but what I was wondering, like, was there no moment during the bidding where you were like, oh, this is too much. I signed up for something I wasn't prepared to do?
Well, it came at the right time in my life. I was able to, I'm an IT technology person. One of my companies succeeded in business, and we said, let's win this and do everything we can to win this. I didn't understand yet its contemporary significance to us as a people. But as days pass, that element of priceless, that element of one and only, kept shining on the faces and hearts of people I give maps to.
Yeah.
Then I realized, wow, 12 million pesos could buy a condo at that time,
Yeah.
which now could be double, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But a lot of people have condos. Sometimes having a condo is a liability, not an asset.
Yeah. If you put it in that perspective, it is a small price to pay to bring something home.
Sometimes you don't know the decisions or the basis of decisions you make. And then later on you realize the decisions make you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what happened.
Yeah. But sir, aside from the fact that you are friends with Justice Carpio, like what compelled you to answer to the urgency of acquiring that map? Again, bringing us back to the almost more than 10 years ago na pala yun, no?
Yeah.
Parang we were preparing a case, the bidding was happening soon. Like, did you have second thoughts na parang, oh, maybe ask someone else. I'll help you. Let's find a different person who might be willing to do this.
Well, first, there was a feeling of not inadequacy, but feeling of there are other Filipinos who are real wealthy guys, di ba? But I learned later on, they are in a compromised situation where they have partners based in our neighbors' land. They have loans from our neighbors' government.
I understand. I see.
They are, they are tied. Their hands are tied. And many of them told Justice Carpio, we don't want to be involved in that legal case. My businesses, our telecom business does not use any untrusted equipment because we are committed to national security.
Right, right.
And if Philippine businesses would compromise our country by using technology that would endanger the lives of Filipinos, technology that is used to conduct surveillance, then these business owners are not true Filipinos.
Right, right. I mentioned earlier about how this advocacy was not just about the resources that you poured into it, but the effort, the time, the heart that you poured into it. And I mentioned that kasi although it will be part of this permanent display here in the National Library of the Philippines, you have donated replicas of the map to around the world, different embassies, the province of Cebu, the Northern Luzon Command, which does have who is responsible for Scarborough Shoal, for Bao de Masinloc. Bakit pati dun, sir, nag-extend tayo ng effort, not just in acquiring it, but making sure na more eyeballs get to see it, I suppose?
Yes, because the contemporary significance of this 300-year-old artifact go beyond the issue of the West Philippine Sea. Today, it is the West Philippine Sea. But the bigger issue is 1,000 years from now, will there still be a Philippines?
Right.
There were many civilizations that started with the grandest of them all, but they are gone. And it is not a far-fetched possibility that 1,000 years from now, there is no Philippines.
Yeah.
So the question now is, how do we ensure that there will still be a Philippines?
Right.
So that would be about culture, about worldview. So 1,000 years from now, when ethnographers will say, there was a culture called Filipinos, and they will look for an artifact that will say, this was their culture, this represents their worldview. Importante sa kanila yung sense of their origin.
Yeah.
It's important to them that they own their land.
Right.
At they are not strangers of their own land.
Yeah.
That they claimed and celebrated what God has given them.
Right.
I had the blessing and good fortune. I was able to travel around the world. And once you travel around the world, including Libya and all the poorest countries, you will say that this Philippines is the paradise I was born and I was gifted with. And we don't see that here when we're stuck here.
Right.
But I think that kind of realization should extend to having that kind of worldview that will allow us now to be resilient.
Right.
If we are not resilient and we are not able to determine who we are, moving forward, don't expect there will be a Philippines.
Right.
There's an Israel because they will spend every drop of their blood to defend Israel.
Right. Right.
If one of them gives up, there will be no Israel.
Right. So it's this collective effort to make sure no one drops the ball, kumbaga.
Ukraine.
Yeah.
There will be no Ukraine
Right.
if they give up.
Right.
And why are they able to fight? Because to them, their culture is strong. They have that kind of worldview that they can win it.
Yeah.
Unlike some of our writers who will say, no, we can't win against China. That's the kind of worldview that will eliminate the Philippines and will just become a province
Right.
of any country.
Right. 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 Right.
So this map, in its contemporary significance, I hope would contribute to that development, that evolution, that growing questions to who we are and what we believe
Right.
in.
Right.
So every military man should have a map, every police, every fireman, every mayor, councilor. In fact, we will print 120 million copies for every Filipino.
That's the goal.
That's the dream. We don't have the money.
It's the dream. Okay,
It's the
let's
dream.
clarify. It's a
But
dream.
I tell you, once you get hold of it, you will identify your sense of origin, your sense of power
Right.
as a sovereign nation,
Yeah.
your sense of freedom, that this is really ours.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. In a way, it's also like a reminder of what we are fighting, what to this day we are fighting for. No? Na it's not, hindi siya vacuum. Na parang 2024, we're only fighting for what's happening in 2024, but we're fighting for what we've always had and as recorded in 1734, right?
Yes, even before 1734, you have revolts all over the country.
Right.
And these people planted the seed of discontent. Of course, later on in the 18th century, what we know is the Rizal and the Gomboza. But they are the outliers. They are the Spanish-speaking Filipinos.
Right.
What we have to watch out for and really study are the Filipinos before them who fought the Spaniard, not because they're Spaniard, but because they were victims of discrimination, oppression, and because the Spaniards also were victims of oppression and
Right.
discrimination by the Visigoths, by the
Right.
Romans, by the
Right.
Greeks, right?
Right.
So this chain of exploitation reached the Philippines.
Right.
But we had early Filipinos, on the other hand, also collaborated with, in the field of arts. We were able to develop a map. The two Indios, Nicolas
Yeah.
Baga and Francisco Suarez, with Pedro Murillo-Velarde. That alone is called the exchange, the international exchange of culture
Yeah.
that strengthen us. Right now, we have millions of bifurcated Filipinos. Half Korean, half Filipino,
Yeah.
half Norwegian, half Filipino. You have that exchanges as well.
Yeah.
So this map represents what we all along have been as a people. We are the evolving human beings that have acquired all of this goodness, this craft, this skill.
Yeah.
And then this shows you in the middle of the Enlightenment period.
Right.
Hindi lang sila Newton ang sikat dapat yan. Nandyan sila Baga and Suarez. They were
Yeah.
able to do despair and admiration of the other craftsmen or cartographers in Europe. That this is better than anything that Pedro Murillo-Velarde saw.
Yeah. If we could insert clips, I guess, closer footage of the map so that people can also understand what you're talking about. When we talk about how it documents Philippine life, basically, in 1734, right?
The engraver, Nicolas Bagay, that's an indigenous talent and skill.
Yeah.
Before Steve Jobs talked about calligraphy, you have Nicolas Bagay doing it manually.
Yeah.
And if you go near the map, you will see, how did they do this?
The detail is insane.
The sense.
Yeah.
You will have a sense of Bagay and Suarez and Pedro Murillo-Velarde that even if there's no Google Earth or GPS, you have a sense of proportion, of distance. And then you have artistic quality of coordination of imagination to the actual drawing.
Yeah.
And it's been the mother of all Philippine maps.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everybody should have a copy of
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Sir, we talked about this off camera earlier, no? That you've always been interested in history, in Philippine heritage. But when you acquired the map, when you saw it, when you held it probably, or saw it up close for the first time, what struck you about this map?
Well, since I was a student, I was looking for an artifact that could explain who I am. I've read Noli Me Tangere, El Filibuster. It's on Audible. You can listen to it in English. I can't relate it with it too much. He's a novelist. He wrote it in Spanish. I don't know if my great-grandfather can relate with it.
Maybe a different,
But he inspired the revolutionaries. We wanted a kind of artifact that will inspire our people prior to the revolution. Who we are as a people. Did we create something?
Right.
What were the products of our thinking? We were part of the first global empire. The first. The largest. And we were part of it. What were the Indios then? Ano ang skills nila? What was their lifestyle? And if you look at the vignettes of the map,
Yeah.
it will tell you, one, we knew what is right and wrong before the Spaniards came.
Yeah.
We have a sense of what is morally permissible and what is not. Two, we were self-reliant. We had our own farm. We were not living on a buloy by the Spaniards. We were living a life that was sustainable. You have coconut trees there plus crocodile, I mean, and then we have all the animals, and our great-great-grand ancestors had a beautiful life in this archipelago.
Right.
And they just bothered us. In fact, leaving us alone was an idea that was proven by this. If you just leave Filipinos alone, they can survive. It's just that we're part of a global world.
Of course.
We absorbed the best, but we also repelled the worst that they brought to us.
I guess in the contemporary context, leaving us alone would be allowing the Philippines and granting the Philippines the space to be its own sovereign nation, right?
Well, conflicts make a nation. Wars make a nation. Revolutionaries make a nation. And this is who we have become. We survived the 300 years of oppression, but at the same time, we were able to capture the best of what the West could offer. Not that much, because very few were educated. The Americans came. We captured some of the best also of American education. But later on, it somehow depended on us. Up to now, we have this crisis domestically.
Yeah.
But hopefully, we could keep on holding on to what we believe then to guide us moving forward.
Sir, I'm curious also because the map again was crucial in the arbitral, in what eventually was the arbitral award to the Philippines. Whenever you open the news, you open your phone, you see breaking news about China's growing aggression in almost all of the features in the West Philippine Sea, but especially in Bajo de Masinloc, right? Recently, a few days ago, a week ago from this interview, flares were thrown by their Air Force against our airplanes while they patrolled the shoal. How does that, or how do you make sense of that? When you read that in the news, and then knowing that this map does exist, that this map does document na, as far back as 1734, recorded na Bajo de Masinloc is part of the Philippines. What goes through your head when you see that?
Well, definitely not anger.
Okay.
It's a challenge. It's a challenge that we view these incidents as a source of strengthening our resolve. Because the other enemy, the other side, currently an enemy in the West Philippine Sea, resort to tactics like that to weaken our character, weaken our spirit. Okay. Well, maybe would like to say that maybe their moral standing is weak.
Yeah.
They kept on talking about 9-dash line and the South China Sea is their lake. And we kept on saying, "No, here's the Velarde map," and all the maps that followed showed that they don't own our islands. So they resort to these tactics. We have to be ready. There's always problem in the border. We're lucky we have a strong Coast Guard and the military are committed. We have a president who's committed to stand by our principles, protect our sovereignty. Well, we have to be ready. Are we as ready as the Israelis and the Ukrainians? We're not. But once you have a border, spoiled tayo for many decades, no? Wala tayong gumagalaw ng border because we are an archipelago. But now that we do, the next generation of Filipinos should be ready to defend their country.
Right.
And I look at this as a challenge. And this is our moment of truth.
Yeah.
It's not the 2025 election or 2028 election. It's what's happening every single day. Are we united in doing and facing that kind of challenge?
Yeah, and that's a taller order
A taller order.
than the elections.
Yeah, but
arguably.
our moral argument is strong. Our moral standing is strong. The rest of the world are on our side, except for a few countries. And we have to continue fighting.
Right. You already mentioned, nabanggit na rin natin kanina, sir, yung future generations. Now, finally, the map has a permanent home in the National Library of the Philippines. So, when people visit here, once this gallery is open, if they watch this interview, or if, I guess, they come across the Murillo-Velarde map and they Google it, they learn about it, what do you hope will be their takeaways? So, talking about the youth, I don't know, bored young adults, bored older adults who just, siguro ngayon lang, nakastumble upon the existence of this map and what this map means to the Philippines.
Well, if you have a foreigner friend, take him here and tell him, this is my land title.
Right.
This is a proof that I belong to this group of people.
Yeah.
Once great and could be greater in the future. Bring your children. And you tell your children, anak, itong katunayan natin ng Pilipinas. Maghanda kayo. Ngayon, Scarborough ang sinasabi nilang kanila o Palawan. Sasabihin nila sa susunod, baka Palawan kanila. O sasabihin nila kanilang Mindanao. Our country, once united as one, is indivisible. Hindi pwedeng i-chop-chop yan.
Yeah.
And this is our nation. And the reason why we wanted the permanent place is that you don't build culture overnight. This has to be absorbed by our children and the rest. And we rise above the daily petty politics. Okay yan, may political faction tayo, they're serving us and they're running for office. Okay yan. But beyond that, they're just caretakers of government.
Right.
Sinisweldohan natin yan. Minsan magulo lang sila, at siniserbisyuhan din nila tayo. But over and above that, this is our nation that we protect. So we choose the right leaders. We better have leaders who will protect our sovereignty. Do not vote for anyone who will give away a piece of the Philippines.
Right.
Because this is yours. And what's your proof? Halika. Punta tayo sa National Library. In fact, may digital copy. We will put a QR code here.
Oh, so they can also zoom in to their heart's
Zoom in
content.
and they can have a selfie.
Right.
And then they send the selfie to a site. We send them a digital map. Especially for those who couldn't come here.
Yeah. Sir, last question. 10 years ago na, no? 10 years ago, when you acquired the map, did you think we would be at this point that where we are in now? You know, like actively having to deal with China in the West Philippine Sea, basically trying to erase a history that's so well documented in the Philippines, right? And siguro, on top of that also, again, yung contemporary relevance of the map now in our current affairs.
I didn't expect that China would do some tactics that would be unbecoming of a superpower. But I'm also awed on how good they are. They have penetrated every single industry in the Philippines. So this management of complexity, they are getting our islands in the West Philippine Seas. And yet the Philippine government is giving them mining
Right.
sites,
Critical
giving them
industries.
frequencies in our telecom. And they're running our telecom companies.
Yeah.
Our electricity.
Yeah.
You see, so there will come a point na ano ba talaga gusto ng Pinoy? And this will become part of our worldview now. Do you know that the Filipinos in the 21st century, they gave away their country? Or, you know, the Filipinos of the 21st century fought for their country. That's why they're still here.
Right.
And this is the reckoning point.
Inflection point.
And that's why the
perhaps.
map is so important.
Right. Right. It's an amazing, beautiful coincidence. Again, the name. And I guess 10 years ago, you didn't realize how, I mean, obviously you knew that it was crucial for the arbitral ruling or for the arbitral case, but the greater scheme of things.
I
guess
won,
it was-
perhaps my ancestors won my last name as Velarde through a raffle. Di ba?
Yeah.
Ganyan yun, you were assigned. But we become who we are by our own decisions.
Right. Right.
And I'd like to convince our new generation to fight this out so we still have our own country.
Right. Right.
And the enemy is skillful, tactful,
Right.
agile, and has already been not just at the borders of West Philippine Seas, but inside our homes.
Yeah. Yeah. Call to action. It is a call to action. Thank you so much, sir,
Thank
for the
you.
time.
Thank you.
We will be linking below this or in the article details on how you can see the map for yourself. Maybe the QR code if it's available by then, so that you can zoom into your heart's content. And parang I guess it'll take a lot. Parang it's better to appreciate this map slowly.
Yes.
I guess explore all the vignettes one by one. And yeah, it's not just about Scarborough Show, it's not just about Bajo de Masinloc, but it's essentially about Philippine history. Thank you so much again, sir, for
Thank you very
joining
much.
us. And thank you for your donation to the Philippines.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for watching. This has been Bea Copin, and you have been watching Rappler.